No, well, yeah, that's good enough.
There.
Well, you see, this is for me. It's about the second time in my life that I get interviewed. You see, so it's. Let me try myself out a little bit.
Well, that's the only way you're going to find out.
Yeah, because for me, I function better when I can be spontaneous, when I not watch and think about people, what impression I do, But
Well, this is just pretend anyway, so
yeah. Well, anyway.
you can just.
So what you probably want to know for me is, do you want to know about my life, or do you want to know why I wrote Thinking Wild, or?
Tell me whatever you want to tell me.
Yeah.
I'm interested in what is the impulse that makes you write this book.
Well, you see, I was raised very Catholic, and this makes you have a kind of a limited space to accept things or reject things. There's in this upbringing, you have quite a bit of negative things in life. Like you have anything that doesn't serve mankind. That serves mankind is good. And anything that doesn't serve mankind is not so good. Like you call it a weed, or you call it a sin, or a crime, or a catastrophe, or something like this. And these are, for me, all very important parts of life. I mean, like for instance, what I learned in the Ten Commandments, like about killing, or hating, or lying, or envy. There are things negatives, that is you are not supposed to incorporate in the beauty of life. Whereas when I look around with other species, this is a very, very important ingredient of the beauty of life. Like you could say, for instance, hate. Hate has, for me, been a long time has been something very negative. And then you ask yourself, for instance, why does a fish has to hate land? And I say, let me see. This is actually, there's a reason for it, that you have things that are acceptable to you and others are not, you see. Or like the rain, for instance, that we have an easy solution. If we don't like the rain, we have an umbrella and protect ourselves. But if you have, for instance, a person, and we have, like for instance, a Muslim, we have Christians, they don't know each other, and you have your system, they have the system, so you protect your system, your belief system, which is kind of like a code for your mind. You see, it's a dress your mind up in each climate, in each civilization. You have a different way to close your mind. You see, and when Galileo came and said, no, this doesn't work like you believe it. First, he really did the crime of disturbing your flock, you see. And he said, and he confused the Christian flock. And the Pope rightly said, you shut up. You don't disturb my flock. You leave it in peace. And probably myself, if I would have been the Pope, I would also have told him to write it all in Latin, or shut up, you see. Or I put you in house arrest, which he did, you see. Because he tore a seam in the overcoat of the belief system, and people felt cold and confused, you see. So it's very important to have, for many people, to have a dress for the mind, you see. So if you have, like for instance now, if you don't know much about the Muslim, you see, and they have a different way of seeing things, you have to repel this strangeness, You have to see that they don't disturb your peace, because you might sink in anxiety in the ocean of many questions, no answers. You want to have a boat, and if somebody drills a hole into it, you don't like it, so you repel it. Now, for instance, if you eat sour plums, and your body is not ready to digest this, what do? You vomit them out, right? I mean, you reject it. This is this is the natural way of the body hates the blood, it puts it out. So this is important that there's a way to reject what you cannot take on, you see. And we have in our mentality, I think, a lot of things that we cannot accept. We have no answers to it. It's strange. We have to reject it. And this is this is what we call hate, you know. But hate has become such a demonized word for us that we think it's something from the devil or from evil. We cannot see the right place. Because if you study biology, for instance, you have something you call like the strangeness effect. And that is mean anything that is strange to an animal doesn't touch it. You see, it refuses to connect with it, and this is already an expression that is not demonized. It's a biological fact. You see, now it would be interesting for us to find a definition for hate that is not demonized. That has actually tells us something. That it's needed sometimes that. Every species, every person has its own secrets. You know? Every that is only for him. Like a flower, this flower here, it has the secret of being blue, and this one of being yellow, and it's not allowed to be mixed. This is what what diversity is about. You see, and in this way, it is very important that there is a limit of communication. Otherwise, if they would interpret their knowledge, the flower would be turning gray, you see. So I would say that the strangeness effect, or what you call it now demonized hate, you know, it's the mother of diversity in life. It's very important that we are all different and we protect a different part of the beauty of life and stick to it and be proud of it, and that's our kingdom, that is what we love to do, you see. And in this way, this is, for instance, one thing I had to deal with myself. How do I deal with hate, you see? So I want to invent a more positive story about it. Something that I can accept now, somebody who because he never was in a Muslim. If somebody who never was in a Muslim country, how does he know? You can only know what you love, what you know, you see. So he has to reject it, you see. But once you go there, I have been in Pakistan, in the tribal land there for weeks and months. I visited people, you see, and they say, wow, these people, they have a lot of, right? You know, the little hut with goat manure and firewood, you see, sit there, taking tea, ceremony, you know. And you find out, man, we have a lot in common, you know, but we are just different. It's beautiful. There maybe gentleness is not made out of honey, it's made out of sugar cane, you see. So, but you have to know that, you see. You don't want to tell these people, you know, you have to put honey in your milk, not sugar cane, not sugar cane, you see. So this is good to know and appreciate that people are different.
So you are finding that when you open yourself to acceptance without the rules, that you see that there is a balance in the world where there is a place for hate, there is a place for everything, and the rules are what you have rejected, the rules of the church or the rules of culture or society.
In a way, I grew out of it, like out of baby shoes. But I must say, there is many people who really need a shepherd. And they pray for it and they defend their shepherd, because not every person is capable to put all the sails up from the sailboat, you know. Some people know that they have to take the sails down when the little wind comes up, you see. So this is, I'm very reluctant now, much more than ever, that to ridicule any kind of religion, because everybody has to have some kind of refuge, I would say, rest stop, or some shelter. You go to the Eskimos and try to survive a winter without parka, and you find out that you need for your mind the same thing. You need a parka or a sleeping bag or a survival suit or something that protects you from confusion. And some can take more, others can take less, you know. But this is I take risks, you see, because for me, risk is my best drug in my life, you know. Danger and risk and uncertainty and getting lost, this is very fertile for me, because it wakes me up more, so that morphine or whatever you guys use, you see.
You're an adventurer.
Yeah, I'm also an adventurer in the mind, you see, and it is just my way of getting a high, you see. Or I go, like, solitude is for me works very good, you know, because as I wrote in the book, I spent maybe 5,000 days, 5,000 nights alone on the ocean fishing. That's a long time, you know. And Jesus went for 40 days in the desert, you know, and I went a long time. So, I mean, I can tell myself, Theo, it's about time. I think you're old enough now. I'm 80 now, you see. Old enough to follow your own voice. Jesus, he was 30, you see. And he went to the desert. He had the guts to follow his own voice, you know. Also, it was a voice with less experience, because I don't know whether he loved a woman, for instance, like I did, you see. I hope he loved Magdalene, because he would have learned a lot. But he was also living in a desert land, you know, not many plants, not many animals. So his whole belief systems, he was, for instance, very knowledgeable in sacred books, but he was not an outdoor man, learning directly from where all the holy books were written, you know. This is, you watch every plant. It talks with you. It's so much more exciting to listen to the woods than to a sacred book when I have a chance. I use sacred book when I'm in town, you see, when I have nothing else to do. But out there, there's so much input and much more direct. And these guys, these trees, they have been there for a few million years. They know a few things to survive, you see. Mm-hmm. They know about, for instance, how to control populations, you know. It's what you call success management, you know. Because, like, for instance, talking about compassion, you know, like Jesus, when he's, or most of the religion, not only, most of the religion, they teach you compassion, you know. But they teach you compassion on a leash. You keep your compassion for mankind, what you call humanism, you see. And then you find out it's very profitable, you know, because it pays you back right away, you know. You make a field and tell the mice in the corn, you make only corn for us, not for the corn balls, not for the squirrel, not for the parents like I have there, you see. So this is profitable. But these guys there, you're not happy about it. How about us? You forget. Because the most fundamental law in life is compassion, you know. But compassion much more than I learned at school, you know. You don't always see the results right away, you know, in the next man's smile, you know. It's much more, you have to have complete faith, because you don't understand it. You can only have faith in life, that life is good, very good. I cannot improve. I don't teach life to make a better pair of boots, like he said, you see. So because there's so much experience behind it. Even if for me life is like a little bit like a safari now. There's nothing bad, there's nothing especially good. There's nothing to accuse, there is nothing to forgive. There is no sin, there is no free will for me. We are slaves of our own inner voice, which is the highest slave to, which you have a lot of options, or you're a slave to another man, or another patriarch, you see, but I prefer to be slave to much more options, you know, that what comes in from the outside, from what I've learned, to teach me and fit in and see my life really as my work of art, you know, not writing books or making music or paintings, you know. This is only for me. It's kind of like a fingertip. That's how your relationship should be with your wife, with your kids, with your family, and with wherever you live. You see, this is a challenge. Now, I'm here now for 50 years in a place that's not my home, Mexico, you know, and how do I fit in society? Because there's different rules for somebody, an outsider, you know, that they accept me and that they even start to love me a little bit, you see. It's kind of, civil. Well, they say, vamos a, it's such a compliment for me when somebody says from the fisherman, vamos a preguntar civil, él sabe también cosas. He knows also things, you know. And this is, for me, it's very beautiful to see that you're kind of a little bit more than respected, you know. Clara, my wife, she was, for 20 years, she was the captain of the dance group here. And this is religious dances, you know. And then when she died 2 years ago for Lou Gehrig's disease in Alaska, they called me up to Alaska. But said they had 2 masses down here without us knowing, you know. And the church was nearly full, you know. This was so beautiful for me, you know, to see that people appreciated her, you know, my family, you know. This is what, for me, is a part of a work of art, you see.
It seems that you and Clara have made a mark here.
Yeah, well,
For somebody who treads the earth so lightly, you have made a mark.
yeah, well, I was a professional killer, you know. Imagine that. I mean, for 45 years, you know, I was fisherman. I'm professional, but I am an economist, you know. But when I was 28, I said, wow, I'm going to do something. I'm not meant for that. I go out, you see. I left my executive job. I went to Paris with my motorbike. I met Clara. She was a concert pianist there. And she had the same feeling. She also felt, I'm not made to be a performer my whole life. I would like to have a family and travel, and I would like to be with you. And so it was a very fertile time for us both. We were so confused. We had no idea where things end, you see. And then you're very open, you know. I was so lucky to meet her. And this is a very exceptional woman she was, you know. I found her diary, what do you call it,
Diary.
Yeah, her journal, you know, from 1961, the first day she met me, she wrote in French, you know, and what she sees in us, I mean, man. And I found it only a year ago after she was dead, you see. And I must say, I never read a more loving love story from a young woman's heart than that, you see. I was so lucky to find her. And still now, I mean, this is, for me, my writing, so much comes from her. And then, like for instance, about 3 years ago, we said, hey, Clara, let's go to our hunting cabin, you know. We went to our hunting cabin, next neighbor, 20 miles away, you know. We stayed there for a week, and it was manuscript. We went through the whole manuscript. And Clara read it like I did, and then she commented. And we laughed and criticized and huggled about it, you see, and then what's left, that I got a kind of buy with, you know, not always very, very enthusiastic, but that's what was left, you know. So this is what I see it, you see. I wanted to take in this book, and ultimately I wrote a book, Dancing with Mosquito, but it was written, it's a good book, but it was written with more arrogance, you know. And even if you know something and you throw it in a reader's face like this, without love, you see, you cannot, it doesn't go in, you know. You might just vomit it back in your face and say, this bastard is no good, it's too arrogant. And this book, I think I did a bit better. And I did better also. My best friend in Vienna is a painter. He wrote me a letter after I wrote it. He said, Theo, you write another book, you remember one thing. Remember your love for the reader. And this was very important what he read me. Because I have always a tendency, you know, to be kind of a teacher, you know, or a preacher, and I hate it, you see. So, and Lexa, my oldest daughter, she works in the university in Brisbane, you know, she's a professor there, and she criticized me very strongly when I started to slip into preaching. So I went to the manuscript again, you see, and I said, I'm going to take it easy now. It smells a little bit like preaching, you know, and this is. I hope now it's a little bit better, you know.
Well, you're so familiar with your own thoughts, having a life of a lot of solitude, that your companion has been yourself. But the way that you think is different for other people, and it takes a little bit of translation to be able to open yourself to it while thinking.
Oh, I think so, because you see, things that for me so familiar are so strange for other people, because I read it and it was so, it's clear things.
You take it for granted.
Exactly. yeah. And then I throw things in it, they can be incredibly shocking, you know. I can see, for instance, to be careful what I say now. There are certain things, that I can only comment to very, very adventurous mind. You see, there's, like for instance, I ask myself, there is acts of God that are, like for instance, tsunami, or earthquake, or flood, or continental shifts, or a wildfire, you see. This is by insurance company, for instance, is accepted as acts of God, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's it, how it is. Now, if cataclysmic happened among mankind like that, you see, now can we interpret it the same way and say, is that also an act of God? You see, now that's where you get in very, very, very difficult points of view. Because for most of the people we are so used now, anything that gets complicated or difficult to think through, because to think clearly is very risky, it's very dangerous, So if you get in this area, we have a very, very easy solution. We call it evil. And once we call it evil, we demonize it, and the rest of the life we can forget about it. It solves the problem for us. It's evil, it's from the devil, it's a sin, and that's it, you see. Now there's a few people who leave the door open and said, there's a lot of things in life I don't understand, that have a reason, that are maybe justified only in 1 million years, or only in 100 species away in another species, because we do things as human species that is not done for man, it's done for life. And sometimes it goes even against our species. And this is not considered, for instance, in most of the sacred books, that our genetics forces us to live in harmony. And if we grow too much, for instance, it triggers in us ways to reduce us. Like for instance now, we are too many. It switches on, it forfeits in any species that is an overpopulation. Life force feeds the male qualities and starves the female qualities. This is not just for mankind, it is for all the species. And this is it makes sense in a way. Now it's time for invention, it's time for dying too, to make room for more people. And you get adventurous, you get a little bit more dumb, you get smart, but less wise, you take incredible risks, you see. Women nowadays, there's less and less people, women want to have children because they want to compete with man. And for the place, for people now, it's not to be a man and a woman anymore, it is to be a worker in the economy. This is one of the main parts, and there you don't need male and female, you bring things together, you see. And this is what most of the fight now for women's liberation, I can see, is about, that once we are a working society, that before all, we just work, look for a career, there is no reason why there should be a difference, But I am still a very old-fashioned man. I had 5 kids, and I have a hang-up, you see, in this way, because a nostalgia, I still think that I lacked out just before the door starts to close. I could have a family, 5 kids, wonderful kids, and there was a very little reorientation for me still. Now a man 20 years, or a woman 20 years, imagine what the reorientation she has to do physically and mentally, that she's still made to make a child, physically, but she has to phase it out slowly. You name it with what, but it's not easy. Like for instance, in the United States, there is now only 1 in 5 children is raised by the natural parents. That means, you see where the family goes, there's less and less responsibility for the family, because medical industry, educational industry, and the food industry, the washing industry, you name it, insurance, all takes over more responsibility, and a family has less and less to say. And I can see pretty soon that we develop in a way that having your own family is just a kind of a wildlife that is going to die out. because right now there's also the applied sciences are very much in the industry of reproduction, taking over and do more and more that they reproduce human beings to their needs and wills, and that we have still a romance with our own children will be more and more difficult. It's like the wildlife; it's something that's dying out, in many society. And this reorientation it's going to be tough, A woman must know that, you see, because this is so much new things to feel and to do and to sacrifice, There's a lot of, like for instance, fertility, the pill, I mean, to talk very plainly, you confuse your body by upsetting the harmony of your hormones, and your body knows that and said, this is not the time for breathing. We refuse to breathe because it's a crisis. You take a tigress, you put it in a cage, it refuses to breathe because it knows it's the wrong place. You see. And in this way, life is going to help us out to come back into harmony somehow. I have no idea how. This is. I'm on a safari. Life for me is a safari, and I just look, what's next? You read the newspaper, and I say, what's next?
It's a safari, but I can also hear your economist background coming through, because you look at the balance of things. You look at what costs, what the price is for being human, for what has the economy of male and female and future and plants and many things. It's from an economic point of view, but not money.
Well,
but its future, its progress, or its demise.
Well, you see, I can also see from the economics point of view, there's something called maxed out in credit. And for us right now, we are not maxed out in money. Money is nothing, but we are maxed out on credit from the earth. We have loans, so many loans to save human lives from other life forms, and they have to pay for it, and they say, that's enough now. Now, if you don't want to go bankrupt, you see, as a species, we have to restructure, and lay some off of you, and replace some physical solutions, mental solutions, typical like risks, Risk is typical something that we wanted to avoid, something negative. Now I could very easily see that a man or a woman can discover that risk is something very positive, actually looks for risks, because it's the best drug there is in my mind, it wakes you up, you see. So if you accept risk, there's a lot of things you don't have to construct, in insurance companies, in health cares, like for instance, like in Switzerland. I just come from Switzerland, where I'm born. You see there, people spend now more money on insurance than on food. Now this is interesting, that just because they are afraid that something happened to do, that the self-maintenance system cannot take care of it anymore, that they pay a lot of money, that the economy will take care of them, or the healthcare industry. Healthcare industry is going to take off like crazy now, And who is the big loser is our self-maintenance system, because more and more people can only be maintained by outside help. And of course, it has also something to do with we feel that child mortality, for instance, is something very negative, you see. And I can see that a certain measure of child mortality can be something very invigorating for a species. That, I tell you an example, for instance, salmon. A salmon has, when it's ripe, goes up the river and has 3,000 eggs. It runs around, eats water skaters and flies and mosquitoes. It feeds from the other, but then it comes time. I'm preparing a big banquet for you in the belly here. And it comes, spreads all its eggs. There's 4,000 fingerlings she releases in the river. And then she invites all the other critters to claw, chisel, hook, eat, and cheat away, and she tells the time, you leave me two, only two, the two best ones. After you're through with your work of art, chisel everything off me and leave me two, the best ones, that can tell the same story again in a little bit better way than I could, you see. Now this is generosity, and it's the same time, it is very invigorating for your self-maintenance system, because those who went through this test, they know, they passed all the graduations, you know, and they didn't cheat that somebody said, use this, use that. The doctor say, no, you don't know what the answer is, I give you the answer, see. So this is how they preserve their independence in health, and that's why some don't have no hospitals, you know, for instance, no doctors, and still survive, you see. So I can see what the fear we have to lose people through the work of art, where every person chisels on himself again and again, you know, to leave only the best. If we cannot do that, accept that as a beauty of life, then we are going to be completely dependent as a species on a new system of society, like the termites have already, or like the ants have, or like the bees have. Bees have, man, it's all controlled, not by the no bee can breed anymore by itself, but it was a time when they could, you know, and they knew, the bees, they knew about the story of Adam and Eve, the fall, because they climbed the tree too, you know, from the knowledge tree, and this is what really evolution is about. You see, when they realized that. Paradise is not a stasis that goes round and round. It's something that progresses all the time, you see. And that what Eve was tempted by to climb the tree, or a marijuana plant, or some fungus, or some bloody food, or some catnip, or something that triggered some change in the mind, you see, and developed a certain kind of intelligence higher than others, you see. And this is the story of evolution, and my Eve is not the only one who has this nostalgia. It's not a sin. It's not as a sin, but it's the same nostalgia I have now when I think about a family. That ultimately, you know, I see something disappear that I was very much hooked on it. You see, and to see that life is galloping and leaves me behind, I have to find a way to see beauty in what's happening now, you see. Even if it's, sometimes it looks like negative, you know, like when I go in an airplane and look down and I see what we do to Earth, we really like a smallpox a little bit, you know, or like a cancer, you know. And that life has a way to cure this cancer. It is, I cannot find a sacred text to show me that the rightness of it, or the beauty of it. I have to invent it myself, you know. Otherwise, I'm a grim man the rest of the life. Like I was when I was 28, I was a grim man because I looked around. Nobody, no life, no animal, no people behaved according to what I love, the morals I learned, you see. And you come to Mexico, if you cannot appreciate a beautiful lie, a good lie, you know, with all the decoration details, you cannot live here. Because you have to know here what you're allowed to ask and what not allowed to ask. Because if you ask things that are very private, you overstep something and you earn a very good, beautiful life. And I was naive enough, you know, I'm still a little bit naive. I'm still a believer, you know. I don't sometimes not know I expect too much truthfulness from other people. Because truthfulness is something everybody has to know how far it can go. Because to be very truthful is very dangerous. You expose yourself very much, and you have to know how much you can take, and where a lie is the right thing. Like it's like on a sailboat. If you have a sailboat, you have to have a lot of wind. You have to know when you take your sails down, because you cannot take it no more. And when you're very truthful, like my Clara was, you'll get a very big target, you know. because people can be after you and yeah, but you said that and you do that and blah 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 blah. Clara, she was so opposite to me. She could not lie. She could not sell a thing. She could only give away, and she could not work for money. She could only help. So between both of us, you see, we complimented each other. You see, I am a little bit on the opposite side, but she was my left arm. She was my generosity. You wanted something, don't come to me, come to her. And I'm happy she was with me, you know.
I think that's perfect because,
Yeah.
you know, really, the Bible says that we are made in the image of God, male and female. And in order to be in God's image, it takes two together. It takes the male and the female, not just the male, not just the female, but...
This is very beautiful said. But you see, the Bible says things. At that time, people didn't know what we know now. And every religion that doesn't grow is going to die. It's like an onion.
Good.
Yeah,
It's like everything you're saying. It is unfolding. Everything is in the making.
Yeah, now you see, you said, the Bible said it's man and female. Now, it could be also later on different. You see, it could be that we make a new society like the bees. You see. Something that not every woman is going to be a woman, not every man is going to be a man, you know, like me, like a brick, you see. That we are more neutral workers, you see. There's many societies like this, the insect society that function like this, and God made them too for a reason. So I mean, it's just that we have, because the Bible or sacred book said that 2,000 years ago, we should come up with always adding to it, like a teacher or a prophet. He has his pupils, but the real pleasure of a teacher should really be that his pupil should come to his height and surpass him, and add something to what the teacher told him. Now that should be the pleasure of a real big-hearted teacher. I think, you know, that's wow. I didn't think about that, because nobody knows everything. You know, this wisdom is spread out everywhere. Some a little bit more, some a little less, and no barrel of neurons can contain it. You know, this is the whole word speaking. You know. So how do I do here now?
I don't know, but I think it's time.